Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you very much for joining me again today for another card making tutorial, and we're going to use the Friends Are Like Seashells bundle. This is a carryover bundle from the mini catalogue, so it's really cool that this is sticking around. So we have something interesting with this bundle in that there are 3 elements. We've got the stamp set, photopolymer stamp set, we have some dies, and we have a coordinating embossing folder. Okay, so all of these things coordinate. So yeah, we're going to use them all together. And the other thing that carried over was the from the suite. This was part of a suite. Was this lovely pearl paper. So we're going to use some of that, and I didn't use it while the mini catalogue was active, so that's what we're going to do. All right, okie dokie. The sample card is here. Okay, so I'm using that pearl paper as sort of the showcase background on there, and some die cut elements just to jazz that up. So I went with a very sort of neutral palette on this this card, using crumb cake card base for that, but I wanted to do the starfish in coral, calypso coral, and I feel like it sticks out like a sore thumb a little bit, so I'm actually going to repeat the card but using a calypso coral card base, so that that particular element just becomes part and parcel of the card. So we've got that ready. So there's a number of steps that we need to get through on this card. Got some scraps of basic white there too. So the first thing is the embossing folder. So let's just emboss this background so that that's ready to go. So I'm just going to lay that into the embossing folder and close that down. It's not super essential that it fills the whole thing, it's just to lay down the background for me. You may want to think about the layout of this, so I might just bring it down a little bit, which means that the feature shell there is actually a little higher up on that particular background. So when we do our 3D, this is a 3D embossing folder, which means we need the 3D embossing folder plate that comes with the cut emboss, which is this grey plate. Okay, and we don't need any of the other plates, so we don't need number 2 or number 3, we just use the base platform, number 1, 3D embossing folder, and the grey platform. That's all we need to do that, and they just glide through. They are perfectly engineered for the machine, so goes through without any trouble whatsoever. Okay, and we get this beautiful deep embossing. Isn't that superb? It just looks brilliant on this pearlescent paper. It would look good on the foil paper as well. So that's that. Okay, now we're going to apply some ink to this. So my preferred method is to use blending brushes, but there are other inking tools that you can use. So I'm going to bring in the coral first, and just apply a bit of colour to the shells. And this isn't super accurate, this isn't an accurate tool. If you wanted a bit more accuracy, you could use one of the sponge daubers or a stamping sponge that was cut down. Okay, so we're going to be covering that one up, but I just wanted to just show you that this was really nice way of just picking out some detail onto the card really. And you can go darker or lighter or in places, so it's a really nice way to jazz up the card. And then we're going to go over the background generally with mint macaron, just to give it that sort of underwater sort of feel. Okay, so this is quite a pale ink, so I'm just going to get that brush loaded up and come in from the corner and just apply that all around the edges, and then just come in over these lovely fronds as well. Just going to go all the way around. I think it looks really cool. Let's put a bit more on the this particular piece of seaweed. A bit more around this edge. We haven't done this edge yet. So it's really, really subtle, and that's why I chose mint macaron, really, just so that it takes the pearl colour off and just gives us this nice subtle sheen thereabouts. So you can fuss and play and whatever with that, add more colours if you want, but I'm just going to leave it like that. And I was a little concerned that the ink wouldn't dry or stay put on there, but actually it does, so that just gives us a little bit of interest in there. It's one of those things that kind of looks, you think, oh gosh, you know, but I think once we've layered everything up and built the card up, you'll find that some of this will be hidden and all that kind of stuff, but it's there just in case it shows. All right, so that is the base of that, and we can actually get that adhered to our card front, because that's all we need to do on that. Just going to use my Stampin' Seal. Just go careful over the textured surface and it will be absolutely fine. Just do it a little bit more slowly, that's all. And we'll pop that up on there, so that coral colour is going to come through the design more because we're using the coral card base. Okie dokie. Voila. So that already has a bit more impact than the original. Okie cookie. Right, scraps of card. So I'm going to stamp my the shell that I want onto this piece of card, which is this one, and I am using crumb cake ink for that. And I'm purposely trying to orientate that so that it's going to fit inside the embossing folder, because we need to emboss this, so it kind of lies a little bit like that. Okay, so we're going to emboss that and then fussy cut it out. Okay, while we've got the ink pad out, I'm going to stamp my, they call these sand dollars. I don't know whether there's a UK equivalent of these things, not something I'd ever heard of. Starfish in Calypso Coral. And our sentiment in mint macaron. So all the colours are coming through into the rest of the design, basically. Okay. So I've got all that because we're going to die cut all this, so we can layer it up. I'm going to add some wink to this so that, one, it sparkles, and two, it just takes the white off. Same on our sand dollar thing. Could have stamped it on vanilla as well, but that's enough for me so that I can get that put together. Okay, right, so I'm going to do this embossing portion first, and of course I replaced my plates, didn't I? So let me just move those out of the way. Bring back my grey plate, and we're going to line up the stamped image with the embossed image on the folder. Alright, so just take your time, just eyeball that. Wasn't quite as lined up as I thought on the stamp. That's okay. So once you've got that in place, I'm going to put that onto the platform, keep it held in place while I put on the number 4 and run that through again. So now we've got an embossed seashell. Okay, so that's ready to fussy cut. We have finished with that now, so get rid of the plates back, and we can die cut these things. So in the dies there is a starfish die and a one for that sand dollar thing, and I'm just going to use a layering circle for the sentiment. Okay, so that's going to tuck sort of towards the top right of that, so we'll tack that into place there. This one's nice and easy to line up because it's got that little notch in the line art, which indicates quite nicely which way that die is supposed to go. The starfish is not symmetrical, so you if you twiddle, let's just show you. Sorry, just getting some tape there so it's ready. So will you watch, it will land straight on there. No, so if I line up that top point, the other ones haven't, so I'm just going to rotate it round until I land on the right combo, and I think, no, that's not it either. That's the one. Okay, I thought that was going to end up being like literally the 5th one that I tried. But there you go. It doesn't take a minute just to line it up, and it's really obvious when it's lined up. Okay, and then all of those can go through the cut and emboss all at once. And there we are. It's already fallen out the cardstock. Okay, and then I've got the sentiment there as well. Cool. So that's it in terms of all the fussy business. Really, we just need to cut this out carefully with a pair of scissors, which I have buried underneath everything else. So just get my Stampin' Up paper snips for this, and I'm just going to go around the edge of that emboss line. It's actually really easy to do. The die will cut some of it out, but there are always little bits that you still have to cut off because it cuts the whole thing. So I found it was just as easy to fussy cut around there, and you get a bit of a neater finish like that anyway, because you're cutting it in one motion rather than just trying to snip off pieces. You kind of get these little burrs on it, which aren't great. So hopefully you can see there that as I've been going round there, the angle of my scissors hasn't really changed much. I've been twizzling the paper, and you will get a much cleaner cut if you do that. Okay, so I just did that by following the embossed line. I wasn't paying attention to the stamped image that much really, to be honest. So there we go. Right, all we need to do now is build this up. Alright, so he's going to go into place over the top of that, and the need dimensionals. So let's put some dimensionals onto the back of the elements there, and on the back of there, and towards the bottom on this, so that I can tuck my sentiment in. Okay, so that's gonna go like that. Tuck my sentiment in where I want it. So I just want some of that coral coming through on the background. And then our last two little guys. Under or over, whichever. I might take it over. And then our little starfish. Okay, so you can mess about with how you want that to lie. There we go, cool. Really, really easy in terms of constructing it. Bit of colour onto the embossing folder. And using the embossed images just to fuzzy cut around there and adding some of the die cuts. So I think that's really cool. I quite like the coral coming through on this one. Quite like that. Not to everyone's taste, but it's just something different, another idea with our lovely staycations that we're having. Be apt. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks ever so much for joining me again today. Please do like and subscribe. Stay safe out there, won't you? Take care. Bye.